Randy Olivani. My portion is going to start with the feedback and evaluation plan. So I'm just going to preface this with there's a lot more detailed information in our full version of the communication plan that we've established. I'm just going to highlight the ones that I think are most important on these slides. Um, so the one that I like the most is stakeholder interviews and surveys. And what we're going to use that for is to gather business objectives and requirements so we can define success criteria uh, during the planning phase of the project. But we're also going to use that after project completion to gauge ease of adoption and generate user satisfaction metrics and kind of quantify the impact the project's had on the business since it's been completed. Um, the other important thing, it always comes down to cost. So we're going to collect some cost management metrics to compare the total cost of ownership of the legacy on-premises infrastructure versus this new cloud environment, factoring in hardware, software, maintenance, and operational expenses, so we can determine the cost efficiency and the expectations moving forward. Because the whole goal is to reduce cost, improve efficiency. So um, the last thing I'm going to highlight is just the leadership reviews, where we're going to present the adoption rates that we've gathered and ROI metrics on a quarterly basis. So those would be the most important feedback and evaluation tools that we're going to use pre, during, and post project. And moving on, we're going to look at the potential challenges and solutions that we can encounter throughout this project. Um, on this slide, the one to highlight would be resistance to change, because you're always going to have that to a certain degree, right? But what we want to do is involve key stakeholders and employees from the start so we can gather input and foster a sense of ownership. And then we're going to provide comprehensive training programs and ensure that we provide the skills, knowledge, and resources necessary to set the organization up for success, with ongoing support so we can kind of help hold their hands through that transition and ensure everyone knows how to use the new system effectively. And then the other primary concern would be miscommunications, because IT projects can be complex. So we're going to use simple, non-technical language and provide context and explanations as necessary to ensure that we have shared understandings and everyone's on the same page between us and all the stakeholders involved in this project. Um, the other two main concerns would be overspending and service disruption and downtime. So um, to combat the overspending, we're going to monitor what we spend closely, utilize the vendor cost calculators, and optimize our cloud resources to prevent overspending. So that provisioning is going to be key to ensure that we're not under or over provisioning so we can keep our costs in check. And then to minimize service disruptions, we're going to use phased migration approach so that we can break the project into manageable stages, starting with less critical workloads to test and refine the process, and we can avoid those extended service disruptions. Moving on, we created a poster that kind of highlights everything that's been overviewed in this presentation, but it kind of gives you a overview of everything involved in this project from inception to completion, starting with the project description, the problem, why we're proposing a new storage system, project justification, the benefits we're going to get out of it, all the functional requirements, so what the business needs, the deliverables essentially, product specifications, what we need to meet those deliverables, um, the industry standards we're trying to incorporate, and then a high level overview of the design process that we use from the needs assessment all the way through the monitoring and continuous improvement portion. So we provided a graphic and that breaks things down into 4 different categories: file access delays, data loss concerns, and employee satisfaction, as well as a 5-year cost. So obviously the goal is to reduce latency, errors, and delays, and maximize customer satisfaction while reducing the total cost of operational expenses for managing a storage system for a company. So um, the graphic kind of shows we're going to minimize problems while maximizing profit and satisfaction so that we can provide scalability and sustainability for the company as data volumes continue to grow. And that kind of does it. Here's some references in case you want to dive in deeper into the material we used to generate this presentation and throughout the project. Again, my name is Randy Olivani. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, Raymond, or Tegan. We'll be more than happy to answer. Other than that, I hope you guys have a terrific day. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.